Tired of screwing up, tired of going down, tired of myself, tired of this town.
Eminent Waste of Time, episode 30. I'm Doug.
And I'm Chad.
And I did not whiff the clap that time.
I was waiting on it.
I knew you were.
Come on.
I was legitimately worried about it because I'm like, he's waiting for me to screw this up. Don't screw this up. Don't screw this up. Don't screw this up.
No pressure on the clapping bit.
The part no one ever sees except for me.
Yeah. But I'll give you grief about it.
So, well, I appreciate that as always.
Yeah, no problem.
So this morning, I actually used you as my guiding light to make a decision.
Like a don't do this type thing?
How did you know?
Because that's normally what I'm good for. What did you make decisions on based on my stupidity in the past?
So I've transitioned over the past 6 months from having breakfast cereal because it doesn't stay with me. I'm hungry in an hour.
Right.
Over to just protein, like eggs and sausage. That's it.
Yeah.
So we're down to the last 2 eggs. Evidently, it's time to go to the grocery store.
Okay.
I open up the container, and one of them is perfectly fine. One of them is cracked. Like, not just like a hairline crack, but like there's a little dent. Now, the membrane is intact.
It's fine then.
Yeah, see, that's exactly what I thought you'd say. So I looked at it and threw it away. I was like, do what Chad would do, risk crippling illness, or be a little bit more hungry at lunch and not risk crippling illness.
The only thing that would have stopped me is if there was a chick trying to get out. Then like, yeah, okay, we'll let that one go.
No, I just decided I didn't need the second egg that bad.
Seriously?
Yeah.
I for sure 100% would have eaten it.
I know, that's why I didn't do it.
Just a cracked egg. What's the difference?
Yeah, because that's where the bacteria gets in, is when the shell's cracked.
But you're cooking it right.
You can't cook the bacteria out of stuff to the point where if it's rotten, it's fine. That's like saying 3-day-old possum on the road that's all bloated. If you just cook it long enough, you're good.
It'll be fine.
No.
Buzzards live.
No. I'm not a buzzard. Maybe you are.
You have to build up a tolerance.
Build up a tolerance to you. That's all I can tolerate.
Would have been fine. You completely would have lived.
If it was a farm fresh egg, like I'd seen the chicken lay it and I went out and okay, it's cracked and I used it that day, sure. This is a store-bought egg. It's supposedly organic because they're brown. They didn't like paint them white.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long that thing's been in the mix.
I laugh how you call it's a store-bought egg. Yeah, it came from a store, but like the same chickens laid the eggs.
You don't think there's any difference between like getting one out of your backyard and like it being shipped halfway across the country and time differential and all that?
I don't have chickens in my backyard, so if I find an egg back there, I'm going to seriously question eating it. And for me, that's saying a lot.
It doesn't sound like you would. I'm going to start leaving eggs in your backyard now and see what happens.
If I find them all the time, I'm going to be like, the Easter Bunny's real, because I got rabbits all over the place. Like, well, they're laying eggs. Clearly, they're safe to eat.
What kind of podcast is this again?
I don't know. We have gotten off track.
I always lose track.
Oh.
Well, if this is your first time, welcome. What's happening right now, not totally unusual. We do eventually get around to some UTV and racing-related stuff, which, if you were looking for that, that's...
Just wait. We'll get there.
We'll get there.
Sorry.
This is also the 30th episode.
This is the goal that you set. We have attained.
I honestly thought it was going to take us forever to get here because originally we were talking about once a month, maybe going every 2 weeks if people wanted it, but we weren't sure about that. So I was thinking we'd be well over a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, not even close.
I think it was 9 months or something we've been doing this?
I think we started in September, around there.
Was it? I don't know.
Something like that. Because I was down here already.
Okay, yeah, you were.
But yeah, no, it has not been very long, about 9 months, like you said.
Close enough.
And yeah, so...
Does it feel any different?
I don't know. Maybe it makes my stomach turn less to hear myself. But you know when you hear your own voice...
You built up a tolerance!
I built up a tolerance. You know when you hear yourself, the recording, it doesn't sound like you?
Yeah.
It really bothered me for the first several, and now it's, I don't know. Doesn't bother me at all.
For those of you guys, so Doug's played on in bands and stuff, and I've been in several bands and all that. And he sings, I sing, he does instruments. I'm not that talented. But when you hear yourself recorded and played back, it is really weird. Because no one knows this until you're recorded and it's played back to you. You don't sound like what you think you sound like.
Yeah.
Like every person.
You're missing all the reverberations in your skull or whatever it is, but
Yeah.
it does not sound the same. And so hearing it out, like produced and out there, and this is what other people are getting. Yeah. So I guess that's probably the only difference. It seems like it. The one thing that really amazes me is we always manage to stretch this out into something, regardless of how little or much content we have. Because I remember trying to figure out how we were going to fill a half hour once a month.
Yeah. And then once a week, we're like, we have got to rope this in.
So now we've hit our very arbitrary 30 episode goal. I'm not even going to set a new one because we're just going to keep rolling with this until people tell us to stop, and then we'll probably keep
going anyway.
Doing it anyways. It hasn't really stopped us thus far.
Nope.
So Robert Higbee came through.
Yes, he did with
a lot more names. So I'm just going to read off the list here. We've got The Mistress, Mudilac, Orange Dream, Short Bus.
I have to get a captain's hat if we do that one.
Wet Dreams. I kind of like the captain's hat. That might have to happen now.
Yeah.
Or the one I've already chosen for you that I guess we told people we give them a vote, but I really like this one. Rutro.
See,
as in Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. I like that one too. It's good. Mudilac, probably not. I'm like we've talked about. I just don't go driving in the mud all the time. Orange Dream, that's not bad. I still like some of Steve Mueller's suggestions where he suggested Acre Shaker. That one was good. And what was it? Boosted Billy Goat or something like that. That was good too. So
we've got enough now. I think I'm going to just throw it up there and we'll put her to a vote.
Yep.
On Facebook or wherever.
Yeah.
Also, if you're looking for a name for your side-by-side, Robert has gotten a new one, and we're not going to release the name.
Hasn't yet. He's going to.
He's going to.
Yeah, he has not yet.
But his new name is under wraps. We actually know it, but we cannot reveal the secret because it's a really good name, and we don't want anybody to take it.
Yeah.
But the old one's up for grabs, which is Pepe, my little mule.
I thought that one was
which
good.
is awesome. It almost makes me want to buy a Kawasaki mule, but not quite.
Not because you actually want to own one.
No.
Just because you want to
I
incorporate
just want
the
to
name.
name it. It's like when I was buying campers, I really wanted to get a Dutchman so I could call it the Flying Dutchman. But I just didn't find a camper I liked well enough.
Like the Dutchmans.
I did. I wasn't going to spend like $25,000 on something just so I could name it what I wanted.
No.
And not really be happy with the rest of it. So
yeah, let's not do that.
not this time around. This microphone is trying to fall into my face. Oh no. Hold on.
It's attacking.
Readjustments, and maybe that'll work.
Maybe
we should have set this up before we started.
Nah, whatever.
Okay, there we go.
People know it's real then.
It's real something.
Yes. So we also had Cody Willenborg. You missed the first one there.
No, you're going to read it.
I'm going to read it?
You just
Okay.
started it.
So
I can't do all the heavy lifting here, Chad.
you calling me fat?
Maybe.
I got to adjust my mic now.
See?
We're not
It's
good at this.
contagious.
You would think we'd have this down better by the 30th episode.
This is like our big landmark episode. It's just as bad as the first.
Yep. Hold
Actually,
on. Got to adjust my mic.
Speaking of, I was looking through the podcast stats, and I did want to say thank you to everybody. You have been spreading the word because there are more and more people on a weekly basis that are listening to the podcast. Someone out there, and I'm assuming you're going to listen to this episode too, has listened to every single episode this month. We've had one download going back, at least one download of every episode. The newer ones have had more.
Yeah.
But somebody's gone back through the catalog to episode 1 and like shotgunned the entire thing. That's a lot of hours of us babbling.
I fully agree. It's like Doug told me that stat earlier today, and I said, well, if they didn't have brain damage before, they likely do now. So
ruining people's lives for 9 months. It'll sound more impressive when we hit 3 years or something.
Yeah.
But
9 months.
Congratulations, whoever you are. I admire your stamina.
Yep. Send us a message and we'll mention you on the next one, I guess.
But thank you honestly for you guys have taken up the charge, and we'd asked several episodes back, hey, if you like it and you're not ashamed to admit that you like it, could you tell other people?
Yeah.
It's having a huge impact. We really appreciate it.
Yep, it's a good thing. We're glad it's doing it. So back to Cody's thing before we got sidetracked from
It's the show. Just
It's
roll
how
with
it is.
it.
I'm sorry. Cody was saying buying from a company that the owner is actually involved in the sport, as in off-roading and, side-by-sides and UTVs, like it's their passion. Does it influence your purchases? And he and I were talking back and forth about that a little bit, and he was kind of explaining what he meant was a lot of the, we'll say a dealership or even someone who owns an aftermarket company, but more often it's a dealership. The owner is just nothing more than an investor. He doesn't really ride off-road. He doesn't do that stuff.
Sure.
He's just there to sell you the thing that makes the biggest margin and collect the money, and that's it. And hey, you know what? I'm not saying there's anything wrong or immoral about that, but does it influence? We'll start with you first, Doug, and then I'll answer on that side. Does it influence where you purchase things from if you know that the owner of that establishment is into off-roading and the guy next door is just there to collect the money?
My first thought was, nope. Who's giving me the better deal?
Really?
It does to a point. And here's the thing. Let's take your side-by-side, for example.
Okay.
Let's say the dealership up here, the owner was completely into off-roading. It was his life. It was his passion. He was very involved in the sport. But he was still charging you $3,500 more than Abernathy. And I don't know anything about the guy who owns Abernathy.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming because he's got a Harley dealership across the street.
Yeah.
I'm just assuming that he's like, there's money to be made there. I'm passionate about off-road in the sense that I like the stuff, but I'm selling it. I'm not,
Right.
I'm just assuming. Maybe I'm wrong there, but that's just kind of the general impression. I'm not supporting the guy up here's hobby to the tune of $3,500. I mean, if there's a huge price differential, I'm sorry. Now, if you're super passionate about the hobby and you're local and your price is somewhat competitive, like I said, on a $20,000 purchase for a new UTV, I'll pay $1,000.
Yeah.
But when you start getting up into ridiculous price disparity, I just feel like I'm supporting your hobby, and no, I'm not interested.
I get what you're saying, and I actually would tend to agree. Romanticizing the idea of it is, oh yes, I'll support the little guy no matter what. But like you said, if the little guy, well, let's take it down into more reasonable spending. If the little guy has a radio system for his side-by-side, and he's charging $1,000, whereas you can order the same, we'll say it's the same quality, same basic setup from some internet guy or some larger company for $500, it's...
Yeah, I don't have a set like, okay, 30% is my limit.
Yeah.
It is definitely dollar specific, because if there's, let's take it down even further than that. If I can buy something locally for $20 that I can get off the net for 10, but I'm supporting the local guy, I'll just buy the $20 thing. I don't care that it's double the cost.
Right.
But I guess what I'm saying is I'm fickle and I will change my mind depending on the dollar amount, but you have to at least be competitive. I understand that on a $10 purchase or a $20 purchase, there's not enough profit there, and he's not selling enough of those to make a significant amount of money for all the overhead he has, because he's maintaining brick and mortar.
Right.
Maybe he's paying other employees. He's got small business, so he's paying for health insurance. I get all those costs, but you have to at least be in the realm of competitive on stuff. Sometimes the little guy is the little guy because he's a terrible businessman.
That's true.
You have to at least be somewhat competitive. And if I know the local person and I know that they're running a good business, I see that they know what they're doing and they're just hired because they have overhead and they're not turning 1,000 machines a month, that does all kind of enter in. But I wouldn't say I have a hard and fast rule that just because somebody's passionate, I will go to them. I have to know. I'm more of I know that person type of buyer, I guess. It's not just about them being involved in what I'm involved in. It's that they're involved in what I'm involved in, and I like them as a person. I know what they're doing. That's a lot of...
So let's set the scenario here, and we'll say, I'll at least set the scenario for myself and my conclusion on that question. if the price is reasonably close to the same,
Sure.
and one guy is very passionate and into the hobby, and the other guy just seems to be big businessman, large company, whatever, I'll go with the guy who's passionate all the time.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, not even a question to me, but
Oh, yeah. I think we kind of agree on that. It's just, like I said, there are limits. I'm not spending $3,500 more on a $20,000 UTV because the guy up here is passionate about it. That's a whole chunk of change. Why is there that big of a disparity? You need to be doing something different with your business at that point.
Right.
So that's just where I'm at on that kind of stuff. There's no hard and fast rule. It's more of how I feel about X, Y, and Z.
And that $3,500 number is the real number that is the disparity between what I could buy my side-by-side locally for and what I actually did pay for it down at Abernathy's in Tennessee. And I told the guy locally, I said, here's the number that I was quoted by Abernathy, and I would love to do business with you. I haven't told him, I'm not saying you have to hit this number, but get close.
Yeah.
And he's like, this is the best I can do.
If it was $1,000, $1,200, you would have bought it here.
Yeah. I would have paid $1,000, $1,200, maybe even $1,500 more. Kind of depends. But
I've walked out of businesses before that offered me a really good deal. I just didn't like what was going on there. I didn't like the pressure from the salesman. I didn't like some form or facet of what was going on. And I've turned around and walked out and gone to a competitor that was smaller and higher priced or whatever and bought there because I had a better experience. I mean, there's a lot of dynamics that come into play, but like I said, his specific question, no, I'm going to go, I hate to say I'm going to follow my pocketbook, but unless there's a convincing reason, I'm going to follow my pocketbook.
See, well, with the dealership where I went to try and get that, I had problems with them in the past. Not major problems, but just they didn't seem like they really wanted my business. I went in there 2 times shopping for side-by-sides. They didn't have what I wanted on the floor, which is fine. I mean, I completely understand that. And they said, we're getting a shipment in later this week. And I said, great. Give me a call when you get them in. I'd love to come check them out, see what you guys, see how they feel and see which one I want to go with. The guy never called me of the 2 times I went in.
Yeah, why would you lose a sale? I mean, somebody's in there actively wanting to buy a product. Usually when I go in, like recently when I was trying to find a car,
yeah,
I stopped at this dealership, wasn't interested in what they had because it was a pile of junk despite how they presented it. And I'll tell you what, I had something in the mail like 2 days later, and then another 3 days after that, phone calls, voicemails, like they were beating down my door, and I was not looking to spend a ton on a vehicle. I think I told them something like $6,000 was my ceiling.
Yeah.
Because at the time I was just looking for a junker to get back and forth to work. So we're not talking big money in the car world. They were beating my door down, and that's usually what I expect if somebody wants to make a sale.
Now, the salesman I talked to on the last time when I went in there, but when I told him this is what I've been quoted and, I need you to get somewhat close, he was really nice. Now, he didn't call me. He didn't send me anything after the fact, but he was really nice, really personable, and he said, hey, I completely understand, stop back in and, if you need any accessories or oils or anything like that. And I fully plan on using them for that. I'm not saying I'll never shop with them. Just the disparity in the price of what they could do, it is what it is. I mean,
yeah.
So it's kind of it's a question that really doesn't have a set answer. And I'd like to say...
And I don't think I'm going to be honest, I don't think there's a wrong answer. I'm not going to, tell anybody that, you should have supported your local guy. It just depends on how you feel about it. It's your money. This is all discretionary income, and they've built a business around discretionary income. That's what they're selling, is products you don't honestly need. So you'd better be on your A game, and you better be, your local dealer should be doing everything they can to win your business, is my opinion.
So let me throw a twist in this, because people don't think about it this way. We're talking about from the consumer side. Say you're a small business. Are you going to buy from, let's say you're making bumpers or something for UTVs. Are you going to buy from the local steel guy who's twice as much because he's passionate about steel? Or are you going to buy from the bigger supply house that can.
Bigger supply house every time. I will beat suppliers mercilessly to get the best price I can.
I'm not saying you. I'm saying the local business guy when they're doing this.
We are the local business guy.
Well, no, I know that. But I mean,
now you know how we run things.
Yeah. I'm saying, so the local business guy who's building UTV bumpers, is he reciprocating this and buying from the local guy who's passionate also?
Well, again, it depends. You always want to support, businesses always kind of want to band together, but man, I can't tell you how many times I've seen local businesses stab other businesses in the back. At the end of the day, the owner's going to do, by and large, what's best for his pocketbook. Small business is cutthroat.
It is.
It's very, very hard to make one work. And so you can't afford high overhead just for the sake of buying local. It's impossible to do. Especially at the example you gave up of, 100% markup. You can't tolerate that and then compete with somebody else out there on the internet. Let's say you're selling your parts on the web because that's where most of that stuff ends up. If we had to increase the price of our tie rods, say 60%, because we source things local. Yeah, because we did have a machine shop that I went to. I was like, hey, can you make this for us?
Yeah.
And it would have increased the cost 60 to 70%. There's no possible way. So to me, it is a pocketbook question when you're in a business. And now if you can forge a relationship with them and say, look, we're going to be buying 400 of these a month from you. Now his production's up, he can bring his costs down and you can come to agreements, that's fine. But
right.
Again, I hate to not sound like a support your local person type of person because I really honestly do make an effort.
He is. I'll give him that.
But you have to be competitive on every front. I will not buy from you just because you're here. I won't do it. If I think you are trying to be competitive and your price is in line with what I know it would cost to run a business, I'm okay paying the premium. But man, you can't just be out there on a limb. I won't do it.
Yeah, I get that. So anyway, that question went a ways. So
well, they always do.
Yeah,
because we babble.
Yes, we do.
Sorry if that was more than you wanted.
Yeah,
it's what you got.
So GNCC was this weekend.
I want to start with the second thing. I didn't see this. So what's the no spectators on the course for side by side?
So this round was the first round that's been implemented, and GNCC for all side by side races does not allow any spectators on the course anymore at all, period.
So when they're running bikes and quads and there's people, hanging from trees and high-fiving people as they're going by, none of that's happening now.
No, bikes and quads are fine.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. But on the side-by-side, it's empty.
Correct.
If you find a vantage point that's outside the marked lines, then you're fine.
Then you're good. Yep. They did this quoting, quote-unquote, safety reasons, because, and I understand their point. So they were explaining this, and they said that side-by-sides are heavy. They're basically cars. I mean, and they're fast. These guys are in there touching 70, 80 mile an hour a lot of times, and they clip a tree or they lose a wheel or something happens, and that car goes out of control. That little sapling isn't stopping them like it would stop a dirt bike or like it would stop a quad. And in those, it's going to hurt the rider when they hit that little sapling and that tree and all that, and it's going to stop that quad or that bike pretty quick. That side-by-side, it's just going to go right through it, and if anyone is behind it, it's going to take them out.
Or if you have a lot of people stand in front of trees and lean up against them, if you get a side-by-side that all of a sudden has a catastrophic ball joint failure or they lose a tire or something and they head for that tree, 1,300-pound vehicle going 60 miles an hour towards a tree with you in between it.
Yeah. You're not going to live.
No, you're not. I mean, I get why they're doing it. I know a lot of fans are going to be upset, but I've often wondered how that was ever allowed in the first place. I'll be honest.
We've raced several times where I have come within inches of hitting people, and not because I was out of control or whatever. They're not paying attention. They're just standing really close to the track. And we're out there racing in mud conditions and everything else. And sometimes you sustain damage while out there. I mean, and you may not know the full extent of the damage. We've been out there and it's like, okay, something is wrong, but I don't know what the something is, and we're not in a good place to stop, so I'm going on until either something breaks or I get to a good place that I can stop and look at it. And people just don't pay attention. There's little kids out there all over the track that the parents just don't watch them. And one of those side-by-sides coming through the woods at speed, and that kid just steps out from behind a tree because he wasn't paying attention and he was laughing and running with his friend.
Yeah.
Man, that's a bad time right there.
So, I mean, I don't want to sound like the safety Nazi because I've done a lot of unsafe things in my life and probably will continue to do so.
Yep.
But I see where they're coming from. Side-by-sides were a very, very small percentage of the market, and every year there are more and more people racing them, and it's getting bigger and bigger, and the machines are getting faster and more capable. And I would not want to be the owner of GNCC, I'll put it that way, and have that liability hanging over me, because as the series continues to grow and more side-by-sides are racing, the chance of something happening is just
Greater
constantly increased.
Yeah.
And I know everyone signs their liability waiver when you go in and yada, yada, yada. That frees you from criminal liability.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily free you from civil liability.
Right.
They can still sue people for wrongful death.
Yeah.
So I
don't know that they would ever win that case, but whatever.
How much does it cost to defend yourself, though? And what's the bad press worth? I mean, I get it. I understand racers, or race fans, I should say, wanting to be right there in the action. Because in a lot of ways, it's kind of like rallycross.
It is.
I mean, you got the packed streets and they're flying down there and, people are like right there touching the car as it goes by. I understand wanting to be there because I want to do the same thing. But I'm telling you, when I watch a side-by-side race, I'm always standing on a straighter part of the track or where it's curving away from me. And I'm always kind of have my shoulder to a tree where I'm sticking my head out watching. But if something comes my way, I'm behind that tree.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking a sapling. I'm talking like a 80-year-old oak tree.
Yeah.
No,
I get it. I understand why they've done it also. I wonder what it's going to do to the side-by-side race world as a whole. Will it stunt the growth because there's less people watching?
I don't know that it will. I think what it's going to force track designers to do is to put in more
motocross section style.
Yeah, like basically gallery sections and motocross type stuff. I think it's going to force track designers to be more cognizant of, okay, we built a track and you go find where you want to stand. They're going to have to start figuring that out if they're going to enforce this rule, because otherwise people will kind of turn their backs on it and they can't afford to do that.
Right. Well, and the problem is, so you start turning too many people. So let's say, we're going to a race and my, family was going to come watch. Well, you can't go out on the track. All you can see is just us driving by the finish line where it's open or whatever. How many people are going to come then? They'll be like, it's not, if I can't see anything, what's the point in going?
I wonder if there's going to be a market, and maybe I'm putting out an idea that could make us millionaires, and now it's just going to be out there on the internet. Yeah. There's a lot of very skilled drone flyers out there now. In fact, it's a competitive sport.
Yeah, I've seen that.
I'm wondering if there is room for basically live video. If you had a drone, not necessarily like flying behind a UTV down that low, but maybe up, in the tree line above where you can see them careening through, and they literally just do live footage that, and they've got big projectors set up or something. So you can still, there's parts of the track, there's motocross parts of the track you can watch, but maybe they also have live video. Because if the drone's up, I know how big the tracks are, but if the drone's up above the tree line and your controller is in a tower, you could get video from basically the entire track.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's not something that gets discussed or looked at.
Well, GNCC did do drone coverage of the starts. Now, they didn't during the race.
Yeah.
On Racer TV. And I'm not dogging GNCC at all, but Racer TV to watch is pretty boring. It's not great. It's like this one. I mean, and there's nothing they could do about this. There's lots of dust, everything else. it's like, well, you could see him kind of make this one corner and come down a little bit of
Yeah,
a whoop.
that's true.
There wasn't much to it. So I'm sure the drone thing would be about the same.
Yeah, just throwing out
I don't know.
ideas. I mean, if it's a really dry, dusty track, it's going to be miserable regardless, even if you were standing there. But it's just a thought. Maybe that's one way to do it. Or I can't remember the GNCC rules. You're not allowed to have a radio that goes back to the pit, right?
Correct.
Okay. So I was thinking, maybe that's something you consider opening up. You can't have a radio in the pit, and they'd have to have a way to enforce that, but you allow them to have a radio in the buggy. So, a lot of people, when they go to NASCAR, they listen to
The driver
the
chatter.
driver chatter and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Maybe something like that is, or maybe they need to allow radios back to the pits. Maybe they need to revisit that rule, something to get people more engaged, because you pull them out of the woods
Yeah.
and your engagement goes down dramatically.
Yeah. Fully agree. So, yeah, I mean, maybe having a driver chatter and stuff like that and, some screens to show what action there is. But I don't know. I'm not saying it's going to hurt it necessarily, but I think it may stunt the growth that it has been seeing.
Yeah, and it's a hard pill to swallow when I just watched the quads. Now, okay, a 400-pound quad that's not moving near as fast is not near as dangerous.
Right.
You might break a leg, but that's it. I mean, I don't see anybody getting killed by a speeding quad.
It could happen, but it's rare.
Very, very, very unlikely compared to UTV. So it's going to be hard, and I'm curious how they're going to enforce it. Think about how big a XC style track is.
Yeah.
How are you going to sweep? I mean, I know there's sweeps out there, but think about you've swept.
Yeah.
You're looking at the track, you're looking at this and that, but how much acreage is there that you don't even have a pulse on?
Or you drive right by somebody, and I've driven by like people that say, "Hey, I saw you out at the track." I was like, "I never even saw you."
Yeah.
Because you're in a more difficult section, or you can hear someone coming behind you, so you're on it trying to get through a section to get to the next opening where you can pull off to the side and not impede the race. And yeah, you just miss them. I don't know. I don't think there's a good answer for it yet.
I just think that's the more interesting part to me. How are you actually going to empty the woods?
Well, and they even made the
Release
statement.
the hounds.
Release the bees. No, but even the starting line announcer guy made the announcement. He said that they have told everyone that the woods are off limits, but if you see anyone, get out of the throttle. Do not race past people, is what they were saying. They're telling the drivers of the side-by-sides this.
And I get that, but you know how it is when you're in race mode?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we repeatedly tell drivers, do not pass between the finish line in the scoring tent or in any bannered section approaching the finish line.
Yeah. What do they do?
I can't be more clear about that during the pre-race meeting. I tell them at least twice, we will take your lap if you do it. They do it anyways.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a guy in a side-by-side last year at MWXC that was going so hot through the finish line, he hit the finish line sign and bent the snot out of it.
And it's steel, and it's stout. It probably weighs, 200 or 300 pounds?
Oh, easily. Yeah. And, I mean, he did a number on that thing. He was going that hard through the finish line despite all the warnings.
Yeah.
So it's random person in the woods. They're not backing off.
No.
I'm sorry. They're just not. They're racing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't blame them. They shouldn't have to.
I completely agree with why GNCC has done it. I don't know
Remains
how...
to be seen how it pans out.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, we'll see if like other local series follow suit too.
So, looks like you've got some results here.
I do. GNCC results for the side-by-sides. These aren't all the results. It's just kind of some of the big names that everybody would know. Kyle Chaney, he got first. Now, that's kind of I'm not going to say it's a big deal, but he had a very rough start to the season.
Yes, he did.
What do you have? 2 DNFs and like an 8th place finish or something way back there. Nothing that even placed him in points, I think.
Yeah, he's definitely hurting on the point scale overall, that's for sure.
Yeah, so they were interviewing him, and they were talking about, he was saying, well, he has to pretty much win every one for the rest of the season out to win the championship. So it's possible, but that's a tall order. I mean, he's good. Don't get me wrong. He's good, but that's a tall order.
Yeah, I mean, because you just can't predict when the machine's going to let you down or when just something absolutely stupid's going to happen on the track, because it does.
Right. So Cody Miller, I believe he won last year, if I remember right.
That sounds right.
He placed first in a Yamaha YXZ. Now this year, obviously, they've changed up the turbo rules and stuff like that. So, but he is running a naturally aspirated YXZ, and according to what they said, he said, so it didn't come straight from his mouth that I saw, but he's doing it to quote-unquote prove that you don't need a turbo to run that kind of series.
And that's interesting because I guess in a little way, it's kind of some, exoneration for us, because we've said the same thing.
Yeah.
The turbos are fun. I don't really think you need one for cross-country style racing, because most of it isn't at speed in terms of, at speed, I mean 80 miles an hour.
Right.
There's a lot of tight technical stuff, and that big turbo may run away from you in the open section. As soon as he ducks in the woods,
it's no different.
You're right back on his tail, and if you can get around him somewhere because he makes a mistake or whatever, he's got to follow you now. So, I can see where there are some advantages if it was a really open course, and we did have a couple races that were pretty darned open.
And the turbos ran away.
They did. Yeah. But a lot of these races are very tight and technical, and they deliberately design them where there's not a lot of just flat ground pedal to the metal. So we've been saying that for a while. Do you need one? No. Want one? Absolutely.
Yes. So that's why I bought one. So I'm going to throw this in there, even though I don't know how many people know about this. I'm going to call him a kid because he's younger than us by, 15 years or more. So anyway.
Sadly, that group is growing.
Yes.
We're getting old.
His name is Dalton Daly, and I'm going to say he's a big YouTuber. He's got like over 1 million subscribers. So, So pretty big. And his YouTube name is 3D Machines. So he bought a YXZ that was wrecked, and the whole purpose of it really was going to take it to race it. I watch his stuff. I kept putting things on there. I was trying to give him like ideas of what he needed to do, because that machine was woefully underprepared for racing.
Yeah.
I mean, woefully underprepared. I was like, you need this, you need this, you need this. You need to check the rules because you don't meet tech inspection for GNCC right now. He never replied to me, but lo and behold, his next video, it's like, I need to get this on. And he's like trying to hustle and put it on the day before he leaves for the GNCC race. So I don't care. I don't need the recognition on it. That's not what...
To be fair, I don't listen to you either.
That's fine.
Or at least admit to it.
Yeah, neither does my wife. So... So I tried to kind of, some of the comments of the videos, I tried to give him some, hey, just run your race, go slow, make sure you win, you just finish. He obviously didn't do that. I don't know what happened. He hasn't put out a video since the GNCC thing, but he got one lap. He was in the sportsman class, the 1000 sportsman class in the UTVs. He got one lap in. He was like 40 seconds behind the leader, so quite a bit.
Yeah, that's a ways back.
For one lap, and he didn't do any more. He finished last in his class.
And we've said it before, and if you're thinking about racing this season, obviously it's already started, but it's not too late. I mean, your first season's really learning.
Yeah.
Because however hard you think it is, it's harder.
It's harder. Yep.
It's amazing how quick things happen when you're running through tight spaces, trying to do it at speed, and especially if it's your first season, you're unsure of about a dozen different things. You don't know if you made the right decisions, and in some cases, until you make a change, you don't even know if it was the right or wrong decision. Yeah. Will I make it better or worse by changing X, Y, or Z? There's a lot of, it's not self-doubt like, should I be doing this or am I fit for this? It's more, did I make all the right decisions? Is this machine the best it can be? And how will it react in these situations? And you don't know until you just get some reps and you just do it and do it and do it.
Yeah. Oh, I fully agree. It's just bigger than you would ever imagine it would be. I mean, everything is intensified. We've said it on previous shows. You may think you're fast driving through the woods. Get out there with those guys. I want to see what you can do.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's exactly. I mean, if you got some woods on your property and you think you can whip through it pretty quick, try driving it like there is a dinosaur chasing you, like Jurassic Park.
even better than that, go to someone else's woods and drive through like that, because your woods, like my woods, I know my woods like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
I could tell you about what speed I take most corners at and everything else, and it's easy. Go to a completely new place, because it changes every year, even at the same locations, and now run it at full speed.
Yeah.
And you have other people chasing you down and everything else. It's like when we went up to Harrison, Michigan, there was a couple little stretches there for a mile or two where we got to run pretty hard.
Oh, yeah. Touching
and-
70.
Yeah. And I would say, like, driving intensity-wise, I was at 80%. I mean, but 80%, there was guys spinning out on the ice and guys sliding through the corners and hitting trees and everything else. And it's like, these are the guys right here who claim that they're fast in the woods, but they don't know what the machine's going to do. And they're the guys who wouldn't do all that well racing just because they're pushing beyond their driving ability. It is what it is.
It's very, very, very difficult to do, and to do it well, to be at the top of your game in a very competitive race series.
For an hour.
And you have to focus. You cannot lose that focus or you're done. So it's a lot harder than everyone thinks it is. It's a ton of fun, but it's kind of one of those things. There's actually a scientific study or term for this, but basically they drew a graph, and it's effectively how much you know about it versus how hard you think it is.
Yeah.
And so when you know nothing, it's really easy.
Yeah.
The more you know, the harder it is, until like there's kind of a crest, and then, you know, it drops back off again because you're an subject matter expert.
Right.
But like if you don't know anything about it, it all looks easy.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. No, I fully agree.
in
And
fact, speaking of good racers, you and I are going to be with a couple this weekend.
we are. I'm excited.
Better than us.
Yep.
They finish.
Yeah. We've had troubles with that. So
We'd mentioned this before, but that was a really sneaky segue on my part. That
Very good,
we've got
very
an MWXC race this weekend, so I'll be doing my normal race calling and whatnot. But it is confirmed that Chad will be riding with Steve Mueller,
yep.
and I will be riding along as well.
Not with Steve.
That was yeah.
He didn't
Can I go in
specify.
the back?
Yeah.
No, I'll be riding with Michael Plank in his Razor 800, who has been destroying heavier machines.
Yeah, he's been out running the big guys.
In fact,
sometimes.
when I finally confirmed with him, I loved his quote. He's like, well, you can wave to Chad when we go by.
Man, if he does, I will wave and I will laugh, because you know what? It's out there just to have fun. There isn't one person out there on that track who is making enough money to even pay for all the money that they spent to be there.
Oh, no. Heck no.
I don't care if you finish first every time, you're not making enough.
No.
So if everyone out there is doing it for fun. So I guess that's kind of one of the things too. If you want to get into it, understand that going in and just go out there to have fun.
Yep.
Because that's what everybody is there to do. But yeah, I'm going to ride with Steve, and Doug's riding with Michael, and Steve's actually going to come here to my place, and we're going to do some. This would have already happened by the time this aired, but we're going to do some testing and tuning on his shocks and stuff like that. And
Oh, yeah. He had a little bit of a mishap. He sent his shocks back to Polaris because they wanted to look at them and do some valving work and make some adjustments. UPS or FedEx or whoever guy dropped them
yeah, and he broke them.
and broke them.
Yeah.
And mercifully, it was on the way to Polaris. So when Polaris got them and opened them up, they're like, "Oh crap!" And they're sending him new shocks, and everything's fine.
He's got them now, and they're on.
But it's not he got them back, and now he's out of luck and has to go back to Polaris and
Right.
go through the whole process. At least it was going the right direction if it had to happen.
Yep.
They must have really. I mean, these shocks are designed for abuse. They must have really the semi doors flew open and they were on an interstate or something.
Dude, it would surprise you. I sold a set of shocks to a guy and shipped them down there. They were off my old CF Moto. I had a spare set. I had bought a complete spare set, and they broke the reservoirs off of both of them.
Oh,
Off of two of the four. I sent them four.
jeez.
2 of them. They completely snapped the reservoirs off. I've been fighting, and I had the package insured, everything else. I've been fighting with them for a month and a half.
Oh, they're saying it was packed in properly, and
No, they said you're not providing correct documentation to show what they're worth. It's like those shocks are $400 a piece new. Yes, they weren't new, but you can't replace them.
yeah, I don't have another used set exactly like those.
Right. And I was like, this is why I insure these things. If you're not going to pay for things that you damaged in shipping, and
Yeah.
they lost the things for 2 weeks. They were sitting somewhere, God only knows, for 2 weeks.
Being broken. That's when the monkeys with hammers were beating on them.
I guess. So USPS, you guys suck at shipping things, especially shocks.
We've sent out every set of tie rods we've made that way.
Well, those are stout.
Yes. Well, there's really not much that can go wrong. It's all solid steel parts. There's no, fluid bits or nothing
Right.
like that. It's just steel. If they bent one of those, I would genuinely like to know how they did it.
Yeah. Run it over with a fork truck or.
We had our first international shipment.
Oh,
Did I tell
we
you?
did. Yeah. You
Yeah.
said-
Canada.
Hey, look at that.
Eh? I should send him a link to the podcast because now we've mentioned him.
Yeah. You should. You should do that. So that's.
Is Bethany, Ontario? I think it was in Ontario.
Okay.
Town was called Bethany. I remember that much. But yeah, our first international shipment.
There you go. We've had people inquire from Australia even.
Yeah, he didn't want to pay the extra shipping, but we're not a big company that has access to, I know this one packet freighter is going to Australia and I can send them there for, 13 cents.
Yeah.
We're basically at the mercy of USPS and UPS and those kind of places. And there's just no convenient way to ship to Australia. It's quite literally half the world away.
Yeah. So I'll throw in one more thing we talked about the tie rods that we make, but we have another part getting ready to come out. I'm not going to tell you what it is yet, but
It's awesome.
It is pretty neat.
You will want one.
Yeah, you probably will. And we're testing it. Hopefully this weekend even we'll test it. So if all goes well, I'll run it for a little while and make sure it's what we expect it to be. I don't really see how it's going to be bad. But then we'll release it to you guys. So I'm pretty excited about that.
And here's the bonus. This is not a brand-specific piece. It doesn't matter if you have a CF Moto, a Polaris, a Can-Am. It will work.
Yep, works for all of them. So not everyone's questioning that, hopefully.
It's beer koozies.
Right.
Okay, it's not. But
I'm
we
not
should make
making
some
that.
of those.
Rob has that market cornered with
Yeah, he
TGM.
kind of does.
So
We could do two-sided ones. Like one side of it's green because they're kind of stitched down the side.
Yeah.
One side green, one side black. Have his logo on one side, ours on the other.
there you go.
Nobody's going to want that.
No one will.
No, so we're very excited about that, and we'll release it in due time when we have a final production-ready product that's been powder-coated, not just rattle-canned and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, because my own set that I made.
Or proof of concept.
Yeah, they're not miter cut the way I'm gonna make the production ones. They're not powder coated. They're not. There's just. I was like, okay, let's just see if the general design and shape works. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time doing the fancy, extra nice stuff. So,
Just like being a parent, you give away the best stuff to everyone else and use the junk for yourself.
I thought you were going to say like your kids are, really bad looking and like.
I'm so glad your mind went there, but no, it was. I was showing how generous we are.
Oh, okay.
See, I don't know. We're not going to be totally generous because you're going to pay for these if you want them.
Yeah. But
We
no,
might
it's-
actually stand to have a positive bank account at some point. We play our cards right.
Ha! I hope so.
It won't be for long because we'll spend it on something stupid.
Tools.
Well, those aren't stupid.
No.
I was thinking dumber than that, but
I can spend it on dumber stuff.
please don't. I do like the grill you're looking at for the.
Oh, yeah.
Is that a definite go?
It's already ordered. It's paid for.
Oh,
Should
nice.
ship this week.
Oh, that's right. Because you said I maybe bought this, which means I already bought it. Done.
Maybe bought / already paid for it, and the guy's already designed it, and it's coming.
So he's got a custom-made grill for the Razor that is our Eminent Performance logo. So it says Eminent Performance, and it's got the triangle and crown in the middle. And for those of you, fun fact, who have seen our logo, the triangle that surrounds the crown is 3 7s, which is our racing number.
Yep. We held a contest on some website. Crowdspring, yeah. Where
Sounds right.
designers could submit different things. All we did was just kind of put up here is what we're looking for. We need a logo redesign. Submit what you got. And
we got 30 crappy ones and 2 really cool ones, and it took a while to narrow it down.
We got like 4 or 5 good ones.
We probably got 4 or 5. We narrowed it down to 3, and I was really impressed because honestly, I think the minimum award you can give somebody for designing is $100, I think.
Yeah.
And so that's how it works. Basically, once you choose, you post that you are going to reward the buyer or the chosen winner with X amount of dollars. So it kind of dictates up front who you're going to get, because the top tier designers, they're not delving down into the $100 projects.
Right.
They're probably looking at like $1,500 and up. I had ours set at 200 or
whatever it was.
I think it was 200.
Yeah.
Because this was all out of pocket.
Yeah.
And we got the submissions, got everything done. I was really impressed with our top 3 for what we spent. In fact, I gave the person an extra $50 basically tip at the end of it because I was really happy with the work.
Yeah, it was great. So
I'd recommend that to anybody. If you need any kind of logo or anything designed, that Crowdspring site is fantastic.
Yeah.
They give you a lot of tools for sorting and for giving feedback. And that's one part of the process I liked, was you could give feedback and get a redesign from them. It wasn't just one time and it's done. If you liked the concept and wanted them to tweak it for a final submission, you could do that. It was,
it was really nice.
It's better than having your, some person at your church whose nephew is interested in graphic design drawing something for you.
Because
Trust me.
The original design that was on the race buggy, that was one I just came up with because we had to have a design for the wrap. I mean, we didn't have any other options. We were out of time.
Everything was out of time. Chad literally hits me up on the phone. I need a race team name like now.
Yeah.
So I was like, well, you're in Eminence, so Eminent Performance. He's like, okay, good.
Done.
That's what we're going with. So that's all the thought we put into that.
Yeah.
I like the name now, though.
I do.
I think it's trivia time.
It is. Are you ready? You're excited for it? Is that what you're saying, or you just want to get it over with?
No, I just think we're going to run long if we don't start now. No, I'm excited. Yay! So my buddy Fuzzy sabotaged me and sent in 2 space-related questions I'm going to bomb, and he'll never let me live it down.
Yep. He contacted me, and he said, here's 2 questions for Doug. And he goes, Doug is probably going to hate me. And I responded back to him. I said, I don't think his opinion of you will change at all. You did shoot him after all.
Fuzzy is a very, very good friend of mine. His real name's Adam. But he and I have known each other since I was 18, 19, something like that. He's a legitimate space nerd. And I don't say that in a derogatory way because I'm a giant nerd with a bunch of stuff as well. But that space is his thing. He will be on the first mission to Mars where they let civilians go.
Yep, probably.
He's a ginger, so it's the ginger planet. It's where he needs to be. So yeah, he's decided to play the trivia game, and all right.
Okay, you ready?
Let's do this thing.
First 2 are from Fuzzy. So from Fuzzy, number 1, how many people have died in space?
Oh crap! I don't know. I don't know that, you jerk.
Doug's not talking to me. He's talking to Fuzzy because he knows he's going to
he listens
listen.
to all of these. That's why. How many people died in space? It's going to be a low number.
Is it?
Yes, it is. I'll say 3.
You are correct.
I knew it was low. Wow, ha. Touche.
They were cosmonauts that died while returning to Earth in 1971.
That's what I was going to say. I knew the answer was none of them were American.
Well, very good. You got 1 right so
Ba-boom.
far. There's another. Well, I mean, there's way more.
Despite you trying to throw me off. Continue.
Question number 2, still from Fuzzy. Which astronaut got in trouble after bringing a real, not space food, corned beef sandwich into space?
I legitimately have no idea who that was.
I've even heard this one. I wouldn't have guessed it right, but I have heard of this.
I'm sure as soon as I hear the name, I'm like, yep.
John Young.
Yep.
The crumbs floating around were a concern that it might cause electrical shorts.
I remember that now.
Was also the same mission that they were supposed to test the new space food safe, or new space safe food. There we go. Talking's hard.
It's probably because he knew how bad it was. He's like, I'm going to have one decent meal.
At least have a corned beef sandwich.
Well, and they recycle air and stuff up there. I mean, there's a process where they scrub CO2 out. I'm sure they were worried about crumbs like getting stuck in the filters. And
Daggone it, John, your corned beef is clogged up the air filter.
well, and since it's recycled air, can you imagine the smell of like corned beef just constantly just recirculating over and over?
They all smelled like sauerkraut when they came out.
I didn't know we had a German crew in space.
All right, that's all we got from Fuzzy. So you were 1 for 1.
You know what? And he's thinking I was going to be 1 for 1, but the other way.
Yeah,
Because he didn't give me the answers, obviously, but he's like, one of them you'll probably get, the other one I doubt you will. But
he thought you're going to be the other way.
He thought I was going to get John Young.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So all the rest of these, Doug is a big music fan. I also am big into music, but Doug is really, he knows all these odd musical trivia bits.
But I can't tell you the lead guitarist of the Who.
Yeah, you didn't
Well,
know
I can
that.
now.
Now you can. Who was it?
Pete Townsend.
There you go. That was last week's trivia thing, so he remembered it. But anyway, Doug's a big music fan. So, not to be mean, and these are not like amazingly difficult questions, but I wanted to give him something that was in his wheelhouse that he would particularly enjoy.
Okay.
Because Doug's birthday's coming up.
Yeah, a few days, April 30th.
So, by the time this airs,
It'll be a day after my birthday.
there you go. So, I wanted to give you happy birthday,
Aw.
your music thing. It's not all you're getting, probably.
Yeah, okay.
But I haven't ordered anything yet, so I'm bad about that,
Fair
too.
enough.
Okay. Question number 3. How many people did it take to sing all of the parts of Bohemian Rhapsody?
I've never even thought of that as a question to ask. I don't know.
So, Freddie Mercury, the lead singer.
I'm just going to say 8.
1. Freddie Mercury did them all.
Really?
He did.
I didn't think they just layered that much.
Oh, yeah, he did.
Wow.
He was an impressive singer.
Yes, he was.
That dude, yeah.
So that was a trick question.
It kind of was.
Okay, that's fair enough. I'll give you that. I figured there were like legit backing vocalists, not just band members to do part of that, but I can see him doing it all.
Yeah, he was that talented. So anyway, question number 4. Weezer, the band.
Yes.
You like them. I like them. They're good.
Yes.
Their first gig was closing for a band named Dogstar. What famous person played bass for Dogstar?
I don't know.
No guess?
Freddie Mercury.
Is that really your guess?
No, I have no idea.
Okay, Keanu Reeves.
Oh, yes. Okay.
I figured you'd know that one. It's kind of obscure, but I mean, it's a known thing.
Yeah, but I've never heard one of their songs.
Oh,
like
no.
I'm not. I do
You don't
remember
own the Dogstar albums?
No, mercifully.
I.
I do remember that being like a thing back in the day.
Like he actually is a legitimate good bass player, I guess. I mean,
He's all right.
I mean, I'm not saying he's the best. I'm saying he can hang with
Yeah.
most people.
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Question number 5. How much was Paul McCartney paid to play the 2012 London Olympic opening ceremony? So he played during the opening ceremony. He did a song. I don't know what he did. But how much was he paid to play?
Nothing.
Wrong. He was paid about $2.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. It was about $2 then.
There you go. You didn't say that. You said
One
nothing.
British pound.
It was like 157 in British pounds, actually.
Okay.
Or whatever. I think it was 157.
Well, I knew it wasn't. Yeah.
So,
I rounded down to 0.
speaking of Pete Townsend, how many guitars has the Who guitarist destroyed over his career? You didn't even know his name, so I don't know why I thought you'd get this one.
Well, crap, they've been around for 50 years. 12, I don't know. I don't even know if destroying guitars was one of his things. I like the music. I've never watched them live. I'm not even going to venture a guess because I don't know which way to go.
Over 90.
Okay.
So,
That's more than I was thinking you were going to say.
how many were you thinking?
Like
50?
3.
Oh, no.
Some guitarists are really, really picky about their guitars. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
He obviously is
Like
not.
Willie Nelson.
Oh, yeah, he's had the same one for...
It's got holes in it. He's
Yeah.
worn holes where the pick hits.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. So you just never know.
Okay, question number 7. Dr. Dre.
That's not music.
Debatable. Anyway, Dr. Dre competed in what sport in high school?
Is this a mainstream? Give me a hint. Is this a mainstream sport or obscure?
It's not super obscure. I mean, like, all high schools pretty much have it. I mean, most high schools. I'm going to say 90% of high schools have it. It has to be a larger school. Like, little town here that I live in, they don't have it.
Okay.
But, I mean, if
I'm not going to go football because that's obvious.
right.
Let's go lacrosse.
He was on the diving team.
He's on the diving team.
Yeah.
Really?
I never would have known that either.
No.
So,
I'm adding to my music. I could probably sit here for hours and give you the stuff I already know, but
Yeah.
now I'm adding. So this is cool. I'm
Yeah.
down with it.
okay. Anthony is pronounced Kiedis, right? From the Red Hot Chili Peppers?
Yeah.
That's what I've always said it. I assumed that's how it is. So, Anthony Kiedis from the Red Hot Chili Peppers, who babysat him when he was a child. And they're also a famous person. They're a famous singer.
Let's see. He's in his 50s. He was born in. I'm just trying to do like math from an era.
Yeah.
You know. I know this isn't right, but let's say Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix died really young. Like years, like a couple
I know.
of years
Would you leave
after-
your kids with Jimi Hendrix? Okay, Eric Clapton.
No. Cher.
There
Cher
you go.
was his babysitter.
I can't picture Eric Clapton like babysitting either. He's a really fussy kind of person.
Yeah. So
Cher was his babysitter.
Cher
That's
was
awesome.
his babysitter. So yeah. I don't know.
That is cool.
And I guess Sonny was not there all the time, but he had stopped in at that to see Cher while she was babysitting him.
Well, let's face it. He wrote some jangly pop that worked, but when they split up, who lasted?
Yeah. Okay. Question number 9. Who was the first band to advertise their music on a billboard? Like on the highway billboard, not magazine or...
Give me a decade.
It would have been in the 70s.
Yeah, my Rolling Stones?
No, The Doors.
The Doors?
Yeah.
Really? Interesting.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, like Led Zeppelin hated publicity. They didn't do interviews, that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. And so I was kind of thinking the other way. The Rolling Stones were all about
Publicity.
being in your face and publicity. So
Yeah, I could see that. I would have expected that to be a feasible answer also. We'll put it that way. So, final question. Question number 10. How many of the 600 songs released did Elvis Presley write?
I don't really know. Let's go
You have a 1 in 600 chance, obviously.
350.
None. He wrote none.
Really?
Yes.
I had no idea he was not a songwriter.
He's also not talented.
Ooh.
I know those are fighting words for a lot of people listening.
Our stupid story with Chad is just happened, so we're done.
Yeah. No.
No, I had assumed he had written a fair amount of those. I'm kind of surprised.
Nope.
So he had writers.
He had writers or people submitting. I don't know if there was a standard set of writers, but
Well,
did
I
not
went in
write
the
any.
middle because honestly, in my head, I knew the two right answers were either all of them or none of them. So
Yeah.
I shot in the middle just on the off chance I was wrong. But
no, you were wrong.
I'm not an Elvis. I'm with you. I'm not an Elvis aficionado.
I don't like him.
I'm sorry. I understand where his importance in musical history. It doesn't mean I have to like it.
Yep.
Sorry.
So
Okay, we need a quick.
you passed them.
I did.
Yep.
How
You
did I
passed.
pass some things to? Oh, this
It
is the one I
spanned
wanted to
2
ask you
pages.
about last time.
Okay.
Jalapeno poppers.
Jalapeno poppers. Okay.
Because I know I haven't heard this one.
I don't think you have. So, I like hot and spicy things, as do you.
Absolutely.
So, my sister-in-law also enjoys hot and spicy things. So, I decided I'm going to make jalapeno poppers one night. My wife, my kids, they do not enjoy hot and spicy things. So, I made them because I wanted them. And I was like, well, I'll take my sister-in-law some. She just lives a couple doors down. So, she'll enjoy it.
Sure.
So I make these jalapeno poppers, and I ate a couple here, took her some. She kept them and ate them, and she enjoyed them and all, and that's fine and good. Right up until I back up slightly. I didn't just use jalapeno and cheese and like sausage and stuff.
What have you done?
Well, there was some like habanero and some.
I was literally thinking you made habanero poppers, didn't you?
No, I mean the little boat of pepper was jalapeno.
Boat of death.
But there was habanero in there and like it was ghost peppers.
Dude, you're
flavoring.
evil. What the crap?
Oh, she liked them. I liked them. They were tasty. That's not the problem.
Okay.
The problem became when a bug flew in my eye.
I know right where this is going.
And I went to wipe the bug out of my eye, and apparently I still had some.
You maced yourself.
I did. I wiped my eye to like get the bug out because what happened was I think it was a fly, or a mosquito. It was something not big and terrible.
Yeah.
But like I closed my eye on it and smashed it there.
So you had to wipe it out. It wasn't just like a brush.
Yeah, it's not like I had to brush it. It was like that, and then like rub it, and I just rubbed habanero, jalapeno, and ghost pepper more than likely in my eye. And it was painful.
Was this the same eye as the rivet?
No, it was my left eye.
Okay. I was going to say, one of your eyes, I was worried like one of them is really suffering unduly.
No, so I rubbed it and all that, and like closed one eye to walk home and everything else. So I go home, and just for everyone else, all the guys out there, even when you wash your hands after that and you go to the bathroom, you probably didn't get it all off of there. I'm just telling you. There was some burning in the southern regions that was not comfortable at all.
It's like icy hot.
Except
Minus
no
the
icy.
icy.
It
Just
was
all hot.
It was all hot and it was all bad. Was not happy.
You need to make your own like Chad Shoemaker's muscle rub, and it's just like
Ghost pepper and
chew-
habanero. You know what we should make? Shirts with some of the stupid stuff with Chad. If people would buy them, I would make them.
All right, you heard it. If you're listening to the show, drop us a message. If you would buy a stupid stuff with Chad, we'll pick a few of the top stories.
Yep.
And we will make shirts. I will wear one
I'll wear one.
gladly.
Yeah.
I'm also thinking about, we've got Eminent Performance stickers. If you're interested, just send us a line. We'll mail you one. I don't care about the shipping. They're just like little 4x4 stickers. They're outdoor rated. You can put them on your vehicles and they will stand up to the weather. But I am going to put in an order sometime soon for nice transfer style ones.
Yeah.
So instead of being a solid block of vinyl, it'll be, the logo will be cut out.
Yeah.
Basically, and you'll have to do it'll be come on a sheet and you'll do the transfer. So if you have a nice truck and you don't like the look of a crappy sticker, that'll work better for you. Like my dad wants one for his F-150 Platinum.
Yeah.
So I'm making him a nice one. So I'm going to make enough that we can, I think I have to order like 10 to get any kind of real deal on them.
Yeah.
So if you're interested, I will not ship you that one for free, but if you would like one, I will let you know what the final price is.
So, and to add to that, Steve Mueller and I have come up with a surprise, and by the time this airs, we've come up with a surprise for Doug. And by the time this airs, you will have your surprise, and we'll have to talk about it on the next podcast. Doug is like genuinely kind of worried about this.
I'm always worried when it involves you and surprises.
Surprise!
Well, thank you to our sponsor.
And we got a new one. now, too.
We do have a new one. As always, I want to say a huge thank you to Watch Communications for hosting the podcast and the website. And we have a little bonus here that we don't normally have. Our sponsor has given us a discount code.
Ooh.
If you sign up for basically, I think it's web hosting or internet access. They'll have to confirm. I'm going to take that back. I think it's just internet access.
Okay.
But if you sign up, you get 10% off your first month of service with the code Waste of Time. No spaces, just waste of time. That is your code. So their link is on our website at eminentperformance.com. If you are interested in internet service or web hosting, well, like I said, web hosting, maybe it applies. Throw the code in there. It'll let you know if it's not going to work.
Yep.
But Waste of Time is the code, and that'll get you 10% off your first month of service with Watch Communications, their products. So huge thank you to them. UTV-doors.com, UTV Engineering, TGM Off-Road, and Harrison Power Sports. And
we have a new one come on board, and it's CW Power Sports. They're over in Illinois in the Effingham area, and they deal in like used razor parts and stuff like that. And also, you guys will see the video of it here in the reasonably near future. He makes a really neat product. It's called a back half cage for the Polaris razors. And what it is, so I'm sure anybody who has a UTV knows that cages are ridiculously expensive. I mean, I've seen
Yes,
them
indeed.
that they can be $3,000-$4,000 for a roll cage. I'm not saying that they're bad. I'm just saying that's a lot of money to spend on one. So a lot of people want a chopped down looking cage, and I fully get that. I like that too. But I don't trust the way a lot of people do them. They're just not safe. The factory cages aren't all that great to begin with. So you throw in there that, you know, your neighbor who says he can weld butts the two pieces of tube together and chops out, 4, 5, or 6 inches out of it. And he says he can weld good, and then he grinds most of that weld off. I am severely questioning if you'd walk away from the wreck if you ever rolled one. So what what Cody is his name, so I'll just refer to him as Cody instead of the business. But what Cody has come up with is it's a back half cage, and it bolts into the factory location, but it's sturdier and stouter than the factory cages even are. And it's 1 3/4 inch DOM tube. It's 120 wall, so it's stout.
Heavy.
So it actually
Yeah.
increases the rigidity of your cage and what it'll stand up to in a rollover event, while also you can get them in 4 and 5 inch chopped.
nice.
So you can get that chopped look without sacrificing the strength of your roll cage. So it's really nice. You can get them with click 6 tabs on them. You can get them for without or with the factory seatbelt tabs. So if you're not running factory seatbelt tabs anymore and you don't want just the extra tab on there to be, to look ugly, and you want a cleaner looking cage, they do them without. So really neat stuff. We're going to get one from him. We're going to do an install video. We're going to have him on the podcast. And so you guys will get to see some of that stuff and see what we think about it. I'm really looking forward to getting that on there. We went with the 5 inch chop, and I had him leave the factory harness ones on there, and the click 6 tabs are going on there too for the click 6 harnesses. I don't have them yet, but I may go to them in the future, and
There you go.
Address that. So I'm still running factory belts for the time being.
All right. Well, you can find us on the web. The podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and iHeartRadio. You can also find the video version of this on YouTube. We're on the web at eminentperformance.com, on Facebook at, /Eminent Racing, and on Instagram at Eminent Racing. I think that's all the stuff.
I think you've covered all the ways that they can get a hold of us.
All right. And no matter what you rub on your nether regions, thanks for riding along with us.
Thanks, guys.
I'm tired of going down, I'm tired of myself, I'm tired of this town.
D